Hey y'all, welcome to Culture Cult. My name is Brie. I am the host of the show, and this is the show where we are learning about every country in the world. And this is part 2 of the Jonestown Massacre, and we are going to find out who are the survivors. And Julia is helping me because it's depressing and we need some lightheartedness.
But respectful because we don't want to get haunted by a vengeful ghost that got murdered.
Yeah. So actually, I just was thinking you probably don't remember what happened last. Yeah, 918 people died on November 18th, 1978. They all drank cyanide and Jim Jones shot himself. And then we talking about today if there were any survivors. And specifically, we're going to be talking about one particular bad bitch, because me and Julia love bad bitches, who stood up to Jim Jones, Christine Miller. So Christine was born in Brownsville, Texas on June 4th, 1918. She grew up working in cotton fields, and she lost her mother at a young age. She pulled herself up from the bootstraps and landed a job as a county clerk, which again, this is like the 30s. This is 30s. She's Black. This is already like a huge achievement, really, if you think about it. She eventually moved to Los Angeles and thrived even more, buying a home and a car, and was still even able to travel.
She's living.
She bought a home in LA. That's crazy. You can't even do that today.
During her time, too. That's hard.
Yeah.
As a woman, that's hard.
I am a woman. I lived in LA. I rented. I had a car, yes, but I rented and I didn't get to travel and I left broke.
And you're not Black.
And it's not 1918. So,
but we'll say you did have some traumas in your lovely, cute little apartment that you rented. And that's why you left.
Yeah. A homeless man broke into my house, which I don't think happened to Christine Miller. But
no, I think she probably just ended up with a crazy man who almost made her drink cyanide. But
yeah, we all pick her poison. Okay, no more joking. Okay, unfortunately, this is also where Christine stumbled into finding the People's Temple in LA and started contributing to it financially, while everyone else at church had to give away their possessions and become a communal and, just give away everything. Christine was like, no, I'm going to keep my furs and I'm going to keep my jewels and I'm going to contribute to your little church, but I'm going to wear all my shit. I'm not going to be one of you like communal people. And she was the only one who could do that. Jim Jones made everyone let go of their possessions except for her, already showing that he definitely respects her. At this point, Christine is invested financially and emotionally and ends up moving to San Francisco to join the People's Temple there. In 1978, she leaves her country and everything she knows to a place called Guyana and to the commune Jonestown, which we learned about in the last episode. So she's kind of coming at the tail end of Jim Jones building this chaotic cult. He built it in Indiana and then he went to California, and that's where she met him. And now where things are starting to ramp up, that's when she met him.
He did beat people before that.
Yeah.
So I was confused on, was she just oblivious to that or?
I don't know. Yeah, he did openly say he cheated on his bedridden wife with a younger woman, as in 18-year-old woman. So,
but for some people, it's like, oh, he's being so helpful by being about it and honest about it that we can trust him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. How much of the red flags she see or even protest?
Because if they were close, maybe he only showed one side for her, sorry.
Maybe he listened to her a lot, and then maybe they were she confronted him about it multiple times, or I don't know. That's a good question. She decides to leave everything in California, leaves everyone she knows, and goes to Guyana, to the commune of Jonestown.
So she kept everything with him just to leave it for Guyana?
Yeah.
Okay.
While others found Jonestown as a refuge because they came from impoverished situations or abusive situations or addictions, Christine got to Guyana and she was like, oh shit, I don't want to be here. While everyone else was like, oh my God, I love it here. We're free. We're able to be ourselves. And this is better than the situation I was in. Christine was already had a good situation, kind of how you were hinting. She had a car, had a home, had a life, had money.
She left all her shit.
Left everything. And again, Jonestown is extremely remote. You can't just leave. So
yeah,
just imagine those first few days of her getting there and being like, oh my God, I need to leave. She starts to be like, okay, how do I get out of this? So she goes up to Jim and she's like, you know what? I feel like I'm more needed in the US. I feel like I'm just better there for the cult. Or they wouldn't call it a cult, and she said that she can just contribute financially from the US. So she's just, I'll just pitch you money, but I'm going to probably go back. And he was like, no, we need you here. So this is when like they really start to butt heads. And she was always one to tell him the truth and one of the very few who could confront him and do it publicly. At one meeting, Christine and Jones exchanged words, and it was very heated. Jones had gotten into the habit of handling guns during the meetings. And at one tape-recorded meeting, it picks up the sound of Jones firing a shot into the crowd because people were asleep during the meeting. So he shot his gun during the meeting into the crowd to wake everyone up.
Like, I actually can't sleep well because I haven't showered in months, and like I don't know where I am in this random place and I can't leave. So I fell asleep.
Also, you're boring as shit.
Yeah, that too.
It's probably, I could just see him being like someone who just like rants forever, like 4-hour rants about just like absolutely nothing. Because at that point, he's like really lost it. And if people are like,
To be fair, I fell asleep in church, so I don't think he would even.
no. Yeah, well, you're not going to sleep now. You probably freaking gun to the meetings. And so she would exchange words over that in public to him over bringing guns to meetings. So everyone in this community was extremely vulnerable due to the isolation of the community and his extreme authority. If you decided you wanted to cause trouble, you could either be put into a sensory deprivation box, which I looked it up, and like nowadays it's like those things people pay for where they like sit in like a pool and like they can't feel anything.
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't like that.
I don't think it was that.
Like, it probably had nails sticking out of it, like in ancient times. Like, they put you in a box with nails.
Yeah, like you just lose all sense of time. Or people would be sent to the medical unit and they would just be drugged. Or he would threaten to shoot them on the spot and bury them in the jungle, never to be found. And during one meeting, Jim Jones became frustrated with Christine's vocal independence and he pointed the gun at her. He said he was going to shoot her and no one would ever find out. And Christine replied, "You can shoot me, but you're going to have to respect me first."
Wait, what do you mean? I love her. That's
Bad.
Someone should put that on a t-shirt. That's awesome. I respect her.
Well, then he repeats it again with more menace, and Christine wouldn't back down. She's repeated the same thing. "You can do that, but you're going to have to respect me first." Then he got closer to her, holding the gun to her head, shouting at his rage at her defiance. She looked him in the eye and said calmly one more time, "You can shoot me, but you will respect me."
Fuck yeah. That's all I'm going to say for her. Fuck yeah. She's dope.
She's doing this in front of everyone who's obsessed with him and loves him. And like, she's just continually standing up to him. And he has a gun to her head.
It's also like, if people are obsessed in love with him or whatever, and they haven't seen this side of him, they now see this side of him. And they're probably just being like, oh shit, she's showing something that I never knew I would need to see. But also her strength, like, I am not that common situations. Like, I get stressed in the airport. I get stressed in the airport when like my flight has a tiny delay. I'm like, oh my God.
Or like in security when they're like, "Take off your shoes, take off your shoes, take off your bag."
I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I mean, just by saying this, she calmed down the entire situation. Like the standoff ended. Like he backed down. She won the
Probably
argument.
because he knew that if he shot her, he wasn't going to get his own respect.
If he actually does go through with one of those threats, people might disband. And his whole goal is to kill everyone. So it's like, kind of, let's just not kill people yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Or I just think he like genuinely had respect for her.
So should he?
Yeah.
I'd respect her. I think everyone should respect her.
Yeah. She's the only person who's been standing up to him. So this isn't the only time Christine Miller stood up to Jim Jones. Before the horrendous day of everyone's massacre, Jones started to conduct drills of the massacre. He started doing like fake poison mass suicides because he was like, let's just do this just in case the US government comes and tries to kill us. And so they started doing these drills. And when discussing his plan of mass poison, only a few people rejected him. And Jones told them they had to drink the poison first. About 45 minutes into this drill, everyone's getting mentally prepared to die. They have no idea it's a drill. He tells them it's a drill as they're all lining up to take this poison. He's like, "Just kidding. It's a drill." They're all mentally preparing to die.
Kidding, you can live another day on my watch.
So the day came of November 18th, 1978, the fateful day of the massacre. Christine Miller was one of the only people who stood up on this day to say no to Jim Jones, and her voice was recorded on tape. The tape is called Death Tape 2042. And I'm going to pull this next section from a resource, and the resource is jonestown.sdsu.edu. And this whole section is from the death tape that was recorded. Christine's first question is about traveling to Russia because he kept telling people that Russia was going to save them.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen. Christine's first portion is about traveling to Russia. The community had often been told of a potential migration to the Soviet Union, but the chances of such a move were highly unlikely. Nevertheless, Jones said that Christine had made her point well enough to ask someone off mic to try and contact Russia. In all likelihood, no one ever made that call. So, not to be sidetracked, Christine refused to give up the mic. Instead, she continued by commenting that too few people had left with the congressman for over 1,000 people to give their lives. Jones replies that only 20 people left Jonestown, but that they would not make it to their destination safely. This is an important part of tape because it all but proves that Jones knew that something was going to happen on the airstrip. He already knew the minute those 20 people left with the congressman. As those 20 people left with the congressman, they're fleeing to the plane. They think they're safe. At this exact same moment, Christine is challenging Jones, and she's saying on this mic, "What about these people?" And he's like, "Oh, they're not going to make it. They're going to die." But remember how you were asking in the last episode? You're like, do you think that the people in Jonestown think that those other people made it on the plane? He's telling them, he's like, "Yeah, those people aren't going to make it on the plane."
Yeah.
So fucking scary. So that is all happening while Christine's asking this question on the quote Death's tape. Christine Miller stays focused, and she was not alone. Other disgruntled Jonestown seniors are heard supporting her during this exchange with Jones. At this point, Christine engages Jones with his own philosophy. "Well, I don't see it like that. I mean, I feel like as long as there's life, there's hope. That's my faith." That's what Christine says. The comment seems to take Jones off guard. He responds by saying that life ends eventually, which is not an argument. He effectively avoids the issue of life being the source of hope and instead refocuses discussion on the pain being involved in living. But Christine still isn't through. She makes another argument about her right as an individual to choose her future and the right of others to choose theirs. Again, while this may be seen contradictory to Temple teachings, it is instead a reflection of the contradiction within those teachings. Temple members were constantly told that if they stayed with Jim Jones in the temple, they would reach their full potential as human beings. Christine was making it clear that she did not feel like she had reached her full potential. She wanted to live, she wanted the children to live, and despite her personal misgivings about the jungle commune, she wanted the community to thrive. She affirms her right to have her own opinion. Again, members of the crowd shut her down and compare her words with those who left with the community that day. One member interrupts Christine to tell her that she has no individual life, reminding her that she chose to be part of a collective. They're already fucking brainwashed.
I was about to say, like, I actually thought some of these people would be, like, scared, but clearly if you have 900 and something people taking poison and they're defending him, you're fucked.
And she's giving a speech in front of about 1,000 people. Imagine all of those 1,000 people are screaming at you, being like, "Shut up, sit down, you know what you're talking about. Your life means
you're
nothing."
not one person. Your life means nothing. Like, okay, but you're all gonna kill yourself. So your life means nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
But like if I was her, I'd be like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go to the bathroom."
The badass woman just be like, none of y'all respect me.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna walk out.
Yeah.
Until you respect me.
Literally, it's so good. Jim Jones had extended her life to that point, the member said, that Jim Jones has let her be alive and that she should be prepared to give up her life if Jones asks it of her. Nevertheless, Christine continues with everyone telling her that her life means nothing and that she should give up her life for Jim Jones. She still continues on the mic. Christine continues expressing her concerns about revolutionary suicide. She attempts to neutralize him by ignoring him. She relents somewhat, then argues that she's not afraid to die, an obligatory statement given the circumstances, but that the children should be allowed to live. She even evokes the name of Jones' son, John Victor, in an attempt to appeal to Jones's paternal instincts. He's not moved. The decision's already been made at this point. At this point, the audience is tired of listening to Christine's protests. Eyewitnesses recount that people began to shove towards her, that one woman needed to be held back as she shouted, "You're too afraid to die. What fucking good would you do in Russia?" Christine makes a plea to Jones.
You're dead. What fucking would you do in Russia?
Oh, that's such a strange sentence, though. Like, you're too afraid to commit suicide. You're too afraid to die.
Yeah, but it's the Russia part that confuses me. It's like, well, you're dead, so how would you even get to Russia either?
Yeah, true. Christine plea to Jones to quiet the hostility, but she's again shouted down, eventually gives up the microphone. Joan praises Christine as an agitator, commending her for her ability to make him see both sides of the problem. He tells the congregation that he truly likes her as a person and that her life is as precious to him as his son's and everyone who's ever lived in Jonestown. That alone was the only thing that probably stopped her from being physically injured because everyone was so angry at her. The community continued with this discussion about suicide, and eventually the poison was brought out, and then people started to line up to die. So this is that missing piece between all those people running to the airstrip. While people are being shot down at this airstrip, Christine is challenging Jim Jones. Everyone's screaming at her. And then now they're just like, well, let's line up to die.
Is the airstrip far? I know you probably don't know that, but I wonder if they could hear the gunshots. But if the screaming was happening, maybe they just didn't.
I don't think they give a fuck. I think they're like, they're so into Jim Jones.
Yeah, at this point, this is the missing piece where we were like, how could all these people do this? Like, were they just afraid? It's like, no, they were just so brainwashed.
Of course, I don't think all 918 people worshipped him. I'm sure there's so many people in there that were like absolutely terrified. We all react to fear differently. And is flight or fawn, or there's a missing one. Fight, flight, fear. No, fawn.
Fight, fawn,
freeze,
and
freeze, or fawn. And I'm sure like everyone's experiencing their own. And Christine's a fighter, so she's like, "Fuck you." But I'm sure so many people were just like frozen, like. And like, what do we do? And then there's the flight people who ran away. So it's just like, so scary. So unfortunately, she was unsuccessful in persuading Jones, and she died that same day along 908 other people.
But you said she's lived.
There's, she's not a survivor. There's other survivors.
I thought you said she.
I think I did say that.
Maria, like such a good badass. And I was like, yes, she's a badass. She got respect. She survived. She told her story. No, she's dead. Thank you.
Didn't make it. So my first question was, well, why did she drink the poisoning? Like she just said she doesn't want to do it. And there is, when I was looking into it, it says a New York Times article in 1978 wrote that she had injection marks on her arm when she died.
Oh, they forced it in her.
And it's not just with her. When they found bodies, people found everyone's bodies, a bunch of them had injection marks. So a lot of them didn't get in line. And then I'm sure people, Jim Jones, like his little policeman probably went around and just found people and were like,
so that means he probably had these injections also created.
Definitely.
Too. And just waiting around because he knew like his followers and most people would do it. And then people were going to fight back and they needed, and the injection is like, yes, that leaves a mark, but it is if you don't look for it, it looks all the same.
Yeah. So it's like of this now I'm thinking like of 900, how many people actually wanted to die?
Is there a way you can find out how many people they found with injection marks on their arm? Those people were the ones that definitely were like trying to live. So we know they didn't want to die. And then versus our flight, fright, whatever. Like there are people that are just going to have to do it because they're like, there's no other way out. Like, I don't know what to do. This is just what's going to happen.
It's so fucked. It's so scary. Like, and this all happened so quickly.
Yeah, of course it did. Like there's fights going on. You're sitting there. But this is what I'm saying. Like, I understand they would have his little guards and everything. But like, I remember at the beginning of last episode, you were like, someone survived and like they ran away. So like, how'd they run? Why did you start with a non-survivor?
Well, we need to know her name, Christine Miller. And she's on a recording, like on one of the last moments, and she's standing up to them, and you can hear everyone yelling at her, which shows so much about what situation. Wow.
I'm just sad she would have been so helpful on this planet.
Yeah. She just left her whole life. She lost everything, and she lost her life because someone most likely injected her. Because I don't see her taking the poison.
I don't see her either. I think what probably happened is when he was like, I love her with my whole heart, just like my son. You don't hurt her. I respect her. Blah. I'm sure she walked off that stage almost getting mobbed. And then his little henchmen who were like, they like grabbed her and was like, ma'am, you need to come with us.
Yeah.
And then they probably, while everything was going on, they just put her down.
It's just this story is so disturbing. But there were survivors. So there's, I know I'm going to say her name wrong. It's Hyacinth. Hyacinth. There was Hyacinth, Thrash, and her sister Zippy, such a cute name, were members from I know. We're members from the early days in Indiana. So like really OG members. When the announcement was made over the loudspeaker for everyone to report to the pavilion, Zippy went, but Hyacinth refused. She hid in her cabin. The next morning, she woke up to find her sister dead among everyone and to find herself the only one alive.
Wait, they really didn't check people's cabins? Like it was that easy?
Yes, yeah. See, that's where I would have been.
See, I would have, yeah. You'd been in the toilet. Nervous shits right there. You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh,
100%. I'd be like, I gotta go to the bathroom. This is too much for me. But there was another survivor though. His name was Odell Rhodes. He was once a homeless Vietnam vet who escaped life on the streets to find a home in People's Temple, only to find himself escaping through the jungle while the murder-suicides were taking place. So Hyacinth hid in the cabin and woke up his dead sister, and Odell ran through the jungle, which I also probably would have done. Like, I'd just be like, you know what? Whatever's in the jungle, snakes, spiders, whatever, like, at least it's my choice.
Yeah. He also, if he was in Vietnam,
he knows jungles.
He knows jungles. He's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's like more trauma to this poor man, but he knows his shit. My guess is the reason he survived and chose the jungle is because he's been in one before.
That's true. I didn't think about that like that. It's very true. It's just so fucked. So what happened to Jonestown? What's going on there today? How do the Guyanese people feel about it? Because hello, again, this happened in Guyana. So when I asked my Guyanese friend Kim about it, she said people don't like to talk about it and they don't even drink Kool-Aid in that country.
That's valid.
Drink it. Yeah.
Banned.
Which is also why when I covered the series of Guyana, this is the last of the series, because I didn't want people to just think of Jonestown. I wanted to interview locals and also talk about the animals and just cover other parts of the country, because this is the number one thing that comes up if you type in Guyana, unfortunately. So Guyanese state pathologist Dr. Leslie Mutu was one of the first on the scene at Jonestown. Arrayed in strangely uniform rows on the ground, the bodies were rapidly decomposing. Thanks to the tropical heat, a rainstorm, and swarms of animals and insects. Some were lost to putrefaction that the U.S. military cleanup crew used snow shovels to pick them up and wore face masks to block the stench. Mutu was called to a scene for which there was absolutely no precedent. They were completely overwhelmed with the crime scene they found. There was an urgency to process the bodies contaminated by a rainstorm and then rotting in the sun. Everyone was in a state of panic. That first night, Dr. Mutu slept on the ground 50 yards away from all the corpses. He soon learned that not all the poison drinkers had been willing. Babies, you're actually right, babies and children have been doused in the mouth by a syringe. And some adults exhibited puncture marks between their shoulder blades on the back of their arms, which are places that cannot be reached for suicidal injection, which is probably what happened to Christine Miller. Probably they were trying to run away and someone injected them. Photos of the aftermath clearly showed abandoned hypodermic syringes. 2 people died from gunshot, but perhaps not the same weapon. Annie Moore, who was Jim Jones' nurse, and then Jones himself. There is now a mass grave in Oakland with 410 graves because most of the people from this cult were from Northern California. So, just a lot were taken. Like their lives were just taken. Just the fact that like people had the puncture marks in their backs, and it just literally means they're running away. The fact that Odell and Hyacinth even survived, especially Odell, like he's running to the jungle. I'm so surprised. And I'm so surprised no one checked the cabins, or maybe Hyacinth figured out a way. If Odell left to the jungle, she was the only survivor among like 1,000 dead corpses. She just was stuck there with these dead bodies.
I don't know how she could leave.
Yeah, and like how long did it take for people to be like, hey, what's going on in Jonestown? Let's check it out.
Yeah. How long did it take people to come in? Well, actually, the vet got out. He probably told people. They both probably told people, is why it happened so fast.
Yeah. I mean, at least Odell wasn't there for like all of it. Like she was just hearing everyone screaming and then going quiet. And then sister. Like it's just the most fucked up thing. Like I think like in history, like this is like one of those most fucked up things like that's ever happened on this earth. Like it's so fucked.
I would also, that sucks for a beautiful place like Guyana, where it's like, we've been peaceful, we're just a jungle, we're just vibing. And this man decides to like ruin us. And now all we're known for is a mass murder. And of course, no one's really going to visit.
No one's even from Guyana that was there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now they're just known for this mass murder. And who's going to visit other than who's going to visit for Guyana and it's sightseeing? No, they're going to visit for Jonestown.
Yeah. Before the massacre in Guyana, locals were not scared of Jim Jones or People's Temple's members. They actually had a pretty positive presence on the community. They sold things like radios in the local markets and taught local school children in their schools. So, like, while it was working, people were like, oh, okay, just random people living in the jungle here. It's fine. According to Oldenburg, the locals' perception of Jonestown was positive in the late 70s. And even some of them remember James Jones fondly, which makes sense because he's very charismatic. Wilfred Jupiter talks about how he got his finger cut making a pickaxe handle, and Jim Jones himself tended to it with green papaya natural remedy, which he said he got from Africa. Today, people in Guyana do not like discussing Jonestown, and the Guyanese government has burnt most of Jonestown to the ground. So where is it today? This is from Vice. The Guyanese government was talking about rebuilding some of the structures, including sleeping quarters, and charging visitors to admission in a bid to attract some dark tourism dollars. According to Dom Jolly, the author of the book Dark Tourist, visitors would potentially be invited to stay the night. Recent visits from the Guyana Minister of Tourism seem to support this. In fact, the Guyana Chronicle recently published an article claiming that the Roya Ima Tours, which is, I believe, the big mountain there, have begun offering flights and sightseeing trips to the site, more specifically to the entrance. Returning from her journey, Shears reflected on the idea of memorializing Jonestown. I don't think Jonestown should ever be forgotten, quote. Jonestown stands as a warning to always question our leaders and their actions and to trust our gut instincts for what is right or what is wrong. The people of Jonestown were idealists who were terribly betrayed by the man who promised them heaven but gave them hell.
I mean, yeah, it's more respectful if you probably gave it a memorial.
Yeah.
For people, especially for the people who didn't want it, for the people who got injected. Like, all of them deserve better. But there were people that were so brainwashed they did it willingly versus the people that ran away because they were scared. So it's like, I think it deserves to be not Jim Jones. He can go suck a dick. But everyone else, I think, deserves to be respected. And also, I'm just a little afraid of ghosts. So I feel like it would just create more of a haunting ground if they like did it as a fun purpose. So
I think a memorial is the best way because I think we shouldn't hide it because it's like, we'll just forget it.
Well, I don't think they're hiding it if they're creating it as a fun little activity where people can stay and act like they lived there. But I think it's also not showing you the actual problems that arose with it. Like, if you're doing it in that way, people are going to be like, oh, ha, 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 instead of be like, no, this is serious, you know?
That's a good point. I think it should be a memorial. It should have like plaques and it should have like a very long documentary on like how to avoid a cult leader, like how to look out for yourself. Like,
how to avoid a cult leader. Yeah, or just like be like, this was where Christine stood when she defied him and said her famous said her famous words of shoot me, but you're gonna respect me first. Still love, by the way. And then this is where so and so hid under the bed to survive. This is where did his escape. This is where Jim Jones stood when, like, just enough plaques to like show people. And then enough plaques to also like have a video where it's like, these are all the cult leaders in our world. These are who fell for them. Like the woman said, let's learn to always second guess our leaders. Let's learn to trust our gut and second guess our leaders. I think that's a great way to have a little film thing for it.
Yeah.
And then make plaques with all the names. It's going to be hard. I think it would be hard either way.
But it's also just weird because it's like, okay, well, who's going to pay for that, Guyana? But no, we do have to talk about it because like history will continue to repeat itself. And it's like, we need people like Christine Miller.
We do. We really do. And she fought and she tried her best to get people to see her views as well. And in the end, she didn't make it, but she fought. Clearly, she fought as she had to have a syringe put in her. She fought.
Yeah. And like, maybe that gave enough time for Hyacinth or Odell to run away. Like maybe she gave her life and maybe they got to live because of that. I don't know. Yeah. So
it's such a depressing story. I mean, I know that's what you said it was going to be, but like, it's so sad.
It's even more sad this episode because you're actually getting to hear a couple people's stories and they're not just numbers of like 900 and something people died. It's like, no, that this woman like actively tried to get people to listen and then everyone screamed at her and then It's just
And
like
told her life wasn't worth living.
So I wanted to read out some of YouTube comments I found on a documentary of just how people even today are tied to this tragedy. This is one. She says, "I'm from Guyana, and let's just say we don't trust eating from anyone because of this man. His story is passed down from generations to generations." Another person says, "My dad's grandmother was one of the followers who went with him to Guyana. I remember watching a documentary about it when I was a kid, and my dad spoke up about it. He said he remembers going to church as a kid in California and seeing the, quote, miracle sermons Jim would have. He said that the government brought back the majority of the bodies, but his grandmother's body was never identified. So there's no telling if she was left back there or brought here. He got very teary-eyed speaking about it, and he said he didn't like to talk about it."
Yeah, valid. That
Grandmother. Yeah. So someone, "I'm a Guyanese woman, and growing up, I searched for my country on the internet. Imagine my horror when I saw a bunch of dead bodies. That's what we're known for by foreigners, Jonestown. That made me sad. Honestly, the lessons I got from it as a child were as follows. 1, don't believe in people blindly. 2, don't consume stuff without asking. 3, cults are bad." So yeah, in Guyana, we really hate that our country was his cult root.
Yeah, that's fucked, man. Instead of like beautiful waterfalls. I did say I just now recently looked up what is Guyana, what do people visit Guyana for?
Okay.
And I didn't see any dead bodies. All I saw were beautiful waterfalls, and like maybe it's changing. I mean, it's still known for it, but I would say like maybe they finally put in the time to say like, let's try and get this off the record so people don't visit.
Yeah.
To be fair, I never even heard of Guyana. Remember?
Yeah, he did. Making his name known out there for adventure travel. So they are like rebranding it. So here's another one. "My mom met Jim Jones in her early 20s. She moved to San Francisco and he approached her by saying, 'Sister, I started a church and you should come, blah, blah, blah.' She says she took one look at him in those big glasses and thought something's off." Like she'd heard, trust your gut. Trust your fucking gut.
People don't have it. Some people just are like blindlessly.
No, everyone has it. Everyone has a gut. They just don't want to listen. You know?
Okay.
Like the glasses saved her.
Never trust a person with glasses.
There's 2 more. So this one says, "My dad was in the Air Force during the time and he was sent out to Jonestown. His war skill was mortuary, so he had to bag and tag all the bodies there. He said that he didn't handle Jim's body, although his buddy did. He recounted his experience to me and said how they were alerted to get on the plane and had no idea where they were going or where they were going or what was going on. And so he gets on a plane. They landed in Panama and were notified at that point exactly what was happening and where they were going. They went from there to Jonestown. He told me about all the things that he saw there, and it was horrifying. He said that often bodies were falling apart because they were exposed to sometimes the elements. Oof. Mothers holding their children still had the liquid in their bottles. He had PTSD from the experience there, and he said those nightmares many nights about it. I only just learned about all this from him recently, about him going up there, and it's wild for me to listen to him talk about it, even though I already know a lot about Jonestown." So these guys just like were just bored on a plane and not told what they were about to see. That's
like, why is everyone being so secretive about it? Jesus, just be like, yo, there's a body cleanup we have to do because of this crazy cult leader. We'll explain it later, but like, this is where you're going. This is what you're doing. Be prepared to be traumatized.
Yeah.
Why can't you say that? That's very vague, but it also gives them enough to prepare themselves.
Oh my God, that's horrible. So this is the last one. It says, LOL, in 6th grade, a substitute teacher played the DVD the teacher left on her desk for social studies class. Turns out the librarian dropped the wrong video off, and we watched a documentary on Jonestown. The principal had to send out a class-wide apology email because we went home and told our parents how scarred we were. We were supposed to learn about the presidents. I'm sorry. They're in 6th grade. They literally just watched a DVD about like 900 people committing mass suicide. They're in 6th grade.
That is not.
Why does the substitute teacher not turn that off? I'd be like, I don't care. This is not what we're watching.
I'd also say, like, I feel like the substitute teacher probably just was like, okay, kids, I don't want to do you. And then sat and like did whatever she wanted.
Was she not watching it? Like, how do you not?
She was interested. She's old enough to comprehend it. So maybe she was like,
damn, this is kind of juicy for a
yeah.
class.
This is like for a sixth grade class. Damn.
Damn. The live stream drops off the wrong video.
Fired. Sorry. That's
everyone's getting fired here. Everyone.
The kids too. They transferred to a different school after that.
Damn. Well, that's the story. That's Jim Jones and Christine Miller and Odell Rhodes and Hyacinth Thrash.
But I don't think Jim Jones should be a part of that sentence.
And the psycho ass.
I would just be like, and that's all these people who survived and the people who followed and died for a shit man who didn't deserve it because he dropped a dog off a roof. Like, red flag at the beginning.
Everything. Just, if you have a bad feeling about someone, it's probably right.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about most likely everyone. Due to facts like this, due to like Jonestown.
You don't think you would join a cult?
No. Because I think that depends. I'm easily manipulated.
Yeah, I could see. This thing is like, we're not interested in church, so it's like we couldn't fall for this one. But what if it was about like everything is a cult though? Like everything is like podcasting. Like I'm in a podcast cult. My entire job is podcasting.
Your name is culture cult, so yeah. You can't really want to speak. I worked with someone who I swear to God was in a cult.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not going to say names because she could listen to you. Not that I don't. I do think she does. I think this is too scarring for her. But she, oh my God, this girl would be like, I'm going to church. No, she would call it would be Bible study. She would be like, I'm going to Bible study. By the way, she was also a severe alcoholic. So before Bible study, she would go and get drunk at like the Mexican place and get like a bunch of and drive to Bible study. So it's like
incredible.
But how she talked about this, there's this guy there named Frenchie. No. And Frenchie is creepy, like all this stuff. And they talked about Frenchie being like basically stalking them, even though none of them went to the church. They just met it through this girl. And she was like, Frenchie would never do that. Frenchie this, Frenchie that. But how she always described her Bible study, it was like, you should join. This is Bible study. You need to learn. It was just too much. Too much. We swear she's in a cult.
Well, I just think like humans want to feel a part of something. And so some people join soccer clubs and others join cults.
Sports are very culty. Frats are cults. Like the hazing, like it's okay because it's like, that's what you do. No, that is cult behavior. My dad literally was like, I cannot talk about this. I talked to him. He's like, I could not talk about this for a long time of what they did to me or what I did to people because you could get still so like whatever. And I was like, but you're talking about it now. And he was like, yeah, because I'm old enough. Like and I was like, what? And then I talked to our cousins and they were like, I can't talk about it. I genuinely cannot talk about it.
Oh my God, the sorority shit, like all the chants.
Yes. Dude, this is so off topic, but I'll be quick about it. But have you heard about the sorority that got shut down? Don't know where it is. I forgot. But I do know that they got shut down because they were basically like having the girls, they would have them like stand on a piece of paper and like watch lesbian porn. And like if they showed any signs of being attracted, they would get like so traumatized. They would have to sit on like washers and dryers. They would call them like piggy. They would force them to eat.
And people pay for this.
Yes. This is why I'm very happy I was never in sorority.
That's what I'm saying. Humans just love to like get in groups. And groupthink is, for me, one of the most terrifying things. I'm terrified of groupthink. It's so scary. That's what I'm saying. Back to like Christine Miller, like the fact that she stood up in front of 1,000 people on a microphone, it was like, fuck you, this is wrong. Like, yeah. It's just even think about like in our own lives, how when you believe in something and you try to say it and you're in front of people and they don't believe in you or they're going to fight you. It's so hard to say that stuff. Like, AKA being a person in a Southern household or a normal, sane person. And you are from the South and you have to deal with psycho ass conversations 24/7 at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And you have to be the only sane person at the table. It's like that, but like a million times worse. Like standing up to.
And then also if you try and defend yourself, you literally get bashed on by all of them, and you're just sitting there and you're like, crazy.
What cult would you join? I would join a cult for chocolate.
I'm probably in a book cult. Like, not in a book cult, but like there are book cults out there.
Wait.
Like, for the books I read.
Are you on Goodreads? Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I have to add
Anyone
my-
who's on Goodreads, speaking of a cult, who the fuck is this Jessica bitch that is in every single comment on section of every single book, and people follow her like she's a god? Go on Goodreads. Look, any book you've read, any book, I bet you she's the top comment. She's read every book under the sun. And everyone's obsessed with her. Type in your favorite book and see if Jessica with the red hair has commented on it. She is a cult. I just read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Okay, yeah.
It was pretty good. It was entertaining. This girl, Jessica, I'm going to read her comment real quick. She said, not to be dramatic, but if there's ever comes a point in time where the fate of human civilization is coming to an end, and we need to create a time capsule to immortalize our posterity, this book better be in it. There has never been a more honest and enthralling book in the history of the world.
Wow, that's a lot.
And she has 960 likes. It's a good book. It's not that. So that's what I say. She's a cult. Well, to end, do you have any nice, kind words to give to people? Because we just heard the most horrifying story.
Don't join a cult. Trust your gut. And always ask for respect. If someone's yelling at you, be the calm, bigger person and say, no, you're going to get my respect first. That's how this will end. Hop off like her. Yeah, bad like her. Christine. I would join her cult if she was like, everyone's going to respect you. I would be like, hell yeah, let's go. Join her cult.
Okay, well, to end, I hope everyone learned about Guyana. We have 3 other episodes on the actual country of Guyana. And the next country is Zimbabwe, where we're going to be covering aliens. One of the largest recorded alien sighting in the world was happened in Zimbabwe. And this crazy cruise ship sinking. And if you're like, okay, what Zimbabwe is surrounded by land. It's okay. Well, the hero of the story is from Zimbabwe. And that was one Joy is on too. And it's so fucking good.
It's actually
crazy.
It's crazy.
But if you are Guyanese and you have anything you want to share about your country, you can hit me up at my Instagram. It's at Culture Cult Show. My email is culturecultshow@gmail.com.
I would say if you're Guyanese, tell us something that's not Jonestown related.
Yes.
Tell us something beautiful and like that we should love about Guyana that's not Jonestown related. That's all I can ask that I want to know.
I know y'all got good food.
More
y'all have great culture with the mix of cultures, and y'all have
tell us the food. Tell us the spirit. Like, what do y'all do?
Yeah.
Tell us life that's not related to Jonestown, because that sucks.
Yeah. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
We did it.